Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Eleanor Marie Rose and I run a publishing YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I started my channel and giving you the behind the scenes of how I create my content. I'm going to be showing you how I plan my videos, how I come up with ideas, how I shoot it, how I edit, how I promote all of my videos, so I hope you find it useful. So I'm now in my bookshelf area. I've colour coded all of my books. I do a lot of my videos here just because the lighting is more natural lighting. I have my ring light behind me. If I go a little bit closer, you should be able to see the ring light in my eyes as well. So I have that for lighting. It also comes with a tripod so I can put what camera I'm using up there. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I have mixed between the cameras that I use. So I initially filmed my first couple of videos on my DSLR that I use for photography, but I can't see myself when I do that and it's really hard to see if I'm out of focus or whatever. So 100% my first tip for this video would be get a camera where you can see yourself. So I have a vlogging camera that the camera flips up so I can see myself, and it's not distracting because right now I'm looking into the camera, but at least I can see if I look to the side, I can see if I'm off center, if I'm out of focus, etc. I'm actually now filming this on my iPhone and I only have, I think it's an iPhone 6 at the moment, so it's not even good quality, and I won't say that all my videos are good quality. I have used my boyfriend's iPhone in the past as well, so that's like an iPhone 11 I think it is, which I will admit is better quality, but I think at the end of the day people are there for the content, not necessarily the quality. So as long as you have a camera that you can see yourself in, it will hugely benefit you. So how often should you post? To be honest, I think I actually post too much for a YouTuber because I post 2 to 3 times a week. So that's because every Wednesday I have an interview with someone that works in the publishing industry, and that doesn't really take me too much time because the interviews themselves are pre-recorded and it's just a case of me editing the videos and putting it up there on a Wednesday. So technically I don't even count that as one of my uploads, if you like, because I'm not having to plan the video or record it or anything like that. And then I like to do like 1 or 2 videos a week of my own content, and that's just because I think I have so much that I want to cover that if I just did 1 a week we would be here forever. I've seen people say like 1 a week, 2 a week, that's probably like the best, and I would say that is probably right because sometimes people don't see some of my videos because they're overloaded with how much I've posted. So note to self, I should probably only post about 1 to 2 times per week. The thing as well, in my videos I try and keep it really succinct. I hate when people have like a 3-minute long intro and you just end up skipping it because you're like, I want to get to the part that I actually signed up for. So I do try and keep my videos really quick paced, get out any anything like that, and just try and get to the basic of the material because you want people to stay for the whole of the video. You don't want people to leave after the first 20 seconds. So what I use to edit my videos, I use Adobe Premiere Pro, and it is a little bit expensive. It's about £250 a year, but I think it's such a good platform to edit on. I know people use different things, so some people might use iMovie, for example. I personally really like Premiere Pro. It looks really confusing when you first start, but it's really not. I taught myself how to edit on this, so I know how to cut clips, I know how to insert photos, insert any audio and music, anything like that. I know how to like edit the colours, etc. if I want more of like a cooler tone or if I want more of a warmer tone. All these things is kind of previous knowledge from my photography experience, and also just from learning. I use YouTube a lot to look at things and like shortcuts. For example, when I have like text like up here, if I wanted to duplicate that a couple seconds later, like here, I wanted to keep the things the same, like the font and the black background, etc. And I didn't know how to keep doing that. And then I figured out the trick of like holding and pressing Alt on a PC and then copy and then dragging it so it copies and pastes. So I've learned a lot of my editing tricks just from YouTube, just from Googling. I don't really know anyone that uses Premiere Pro, so I haven't like been lucky enough to ask them on their input. You definitely don't need to spend loads of money on learning how to edit really professionally. I mean, if you want to, then absolutely do that. And if your videos you want to improve like the editing style, then absolutely do that. I'm not saying don't do that, but for me personally it's been enough just to teach myself. It does take time, and if you look at some of my earlier videos as well, you can see my editing style is a little bit weaker, whereas now I would like to think that I'm a little bit better at editing. So I feel like even since November my videos are better in quality. Editing is what takes the longest. Everyone will tell you that, I think, that works on videography, because filming, I could just be filming for 20 minutes standing here waffling away, but editing is the bit that you're really there thinking how much of this is actually relevant, how am I going to make the transitions really smooth, etc. Editing just in general is a long process because if you think about it, you have to import all of your videos as well from whatever device you filmed it on. You also have to then export it into whatever media output you want, like an MP4 4, for example. So just in general, you're dealing with large files, so the editing process does take a long time. So I would bear that in mind, that you won't be able to just skip over the editing process. You will need to kind of set aside that time. I tend to do a lot of my editing is just like in the evenings and on the weekends, just because it's almost something you don't need to concentrate that much on. I can tend to just sit on the sofa with my earphones in and sit there and edit away. I've definitely got a lot quicker at editing as well, so I think if you're starting out a YouTube channel and you think, God, this is taking so long, I don't have enough time to edit this many hours per video, it does get quicker. Because I think my first couple of videos took me over 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, maybe even more. I couldn't tell you how long it took, but yeah, now I can edit a video in sort of half an hour to an hour. It really does depend on what content you have, if you need lots of extra images or text added in. So for example, the video that I posted on the terms that you need to know to work in publishing, that did take a bit longer, because after every term that I said you needed to know, I put the term in a text box above me. When it comes to actually kind of uploading your videos, you'd go here and you'd put in the video that you want to use, and then it takes you to the screen where you can so if I go into this one, for example, it takes you into the screen where you can add your title, your description, your thumbnail, who your audience is, any tags that you want to add in, everything like that. And in terms of description, I've kind of always kept that the same, so having like my contact in there, giving like an outline of what the video entails. Starting a YouTube has been a long process in terms of getting my subscribers up. I'm not claiming to be some famous YouTuber now, because I really don't have a million amount of subscribers or anything, but from joining Twitter at the same sort of time and reaching about 2,000 followers on Twitter and only getting sort of a quarter of that of subscribers, I've learned that it's a lot harder to get subscribers than it is to get followers on Twitter or on Instagram, because people generally have to be really engaged and really want to watch your videos to subscribe. I find that people almost think they have a limited amount of subscriptions on YouTube and that they won't subscribe to your channel unless you completely blow them away. So that's one thing I would bear in mind as well, that it is definitely a long process on getting subscribers. So then in terms of my channel analytics, so I would say as well, if you're starting out on YouTube, know how to use YouTube Studio, know how you're going to find your statistics, your analytics, your subscriber count, everything like that. I think it's really useful. So for example, I can see here, for example, that there was a massive spike here, and then I can see that on that day one video was posted and it was the tips to get into publishing video. What I'm looking at is my audience as well. So for example, almost 60% of my audience haven't subscribed to my channel, so that's kind of interesting for me to know. I kind of want to push those people to subscribe so that they stick around for more. You can kind of filter this so you have the highest viewed video at the top. So this was Day in the Life as a Production Assistant, which is my role. I've definitely had different marketing and publicity ways of getting my subscribers. So I started a newsletter. I would create snippets of my videos and post that on social media. Because I do publishing content, I contacted a load of universities that offer a publishing course and contacted the lecturers and said, here's my videos, your students might find it useful. I contacted a load of people that I knew that were wanting to get into publishing and just made them aware of my channel. For the interviews that I do every Wednesday as well, I had to contact people for that. So it's a lot of time contacting people. I think a lot of my time for my YouTube is spent on Twitter. I started my Twitter knowing I was only really going to be using it for my YouTube and my publishing content. Yeah, I tend to use Twitter a lot as well. I'll get requests like here, for example. I'm going to hopefully know how to blur out the names. So yeah, I do spend a lot of time DMing people, answering DMs. I seem to get a lot of DMs nowadays as well, like every single day. People are either asking to sign up to my newsletter, or they're asking for me for advice to get into the industry, and they're asking me just specific questions about my job. So it's a lot of kind of engaging with people like that, and I wouldn't like to just kind of rush my answers with someone. I would like to just, even if I read it and then come back to it a few hours later, I like to take the time on replying to my DMs as well. So I think just be wary that, you know, if you are advertising your content on another channel like Twitter, be aware that people will probably contact you and you'll have some messages, etc. Email. And since starting my YouTube, I tend to use that a lot because that's what I used it for my interviews with people. So I'll usually just say, I'll get the updated brief and I'll get the consent form and I'll drop that in there. And then call it like YouTube. And and then I drop that to them, and then they can decide if they want to take part or not. They can drop me their consent form, and we can get that underway, and that's how I kind of initiate that conversation first of all. Starting this YouTube channel has definitely given me a lot of confidence. I was never the most extroverted person at all. I've always loved talking to people, etc., but I've always been a little bit shy, and in social situations I've always felt a bit awkward. But I think definitely starting this YouTube channel has, I mean, it's almost weird because there's no one talking back at you, you're just staring at a camera, and so I think that is kind of tricky to get grips with. First of all, I think my first video I filmed about 10 times before I actually was set on my final one, and even the final one wasn't that great. I just felt so awkward, it felt so unnatural, so I think make sure you practice filming in front of a camera because it can feel so unnatural. But then when it comes to editing, it kind of, you see that it does work, etc. But when you're first doing it, it does feel so weird. Then onto the actual planning of the videos. I do plan my videos in advance. If you know me, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I do plan my videos quite a way in advance. I'd say at least 6 weeks in advance. In my interviews, I have booked up for months in advance, and then the content I do, I regularly just plan those, and then I just sort of fit it into my schedule of when I want to post them. If you've been following me on Twitter and you have me on LinkedIn, you would have seen that I posted my spreadsheet on there as well, because people didn't realise how I planned my videos, and it was to that extent. And I think people have different ideas and different methods of planning their videos, but for me, that helps me. This is my main spreadsheet here. This, I show what day I'm going to post the videos on. I always do my interviews every Wednesday, and then I try and do one at a weekend, and then perhaps like on a different day of the week as well. This is where I like write the name so that when it comes to actually uploading it, I've got the name sorted already. And then I have different columns to remind myself if I've planned the video, so I often plan my videos on Word, or if I've recorded it, if I've created the thumbnail for it, if I've edited it, and then finally if I've posted it as well, and then I've got the link once I've posted it. I've got my interviews always booked up way in advance, but then if we scroll down, you can see that I've got different ideas for videos that I want to do, but I just haven't actually planned them out yet and filmed them or anything. I won't be able to show this fully, but I have a separate spreadsheet for the interviews that I do. So I have their name in one column, their role in another column, the company they work for in another column, their email, and then whether or not I sent them the brief, and I can get that up as well. So this is my YouTube folder. So in my hard drive, I have folder for YouTube, I have like promo material, like any snippets I created, the interviews that I do with different people from the industry.
Go into interviews, and then
you can see the brief that I send to people for the interviews that I do.
Just outlines video requirements and about confidentiality, and important email, along with the consent form I have as well, and then I can also fill out any social media links that I want to include in the description of the video.
Yeah, so I plan all of my videos on Word, so you can see here. So that's kind of how I plan my videos. So yeah, for me that really does help. I do also have a notebook where I'll just jot down things in the evenings, like ideas I've had or whatever, but I tend to do a lot of my planning online, so I'll have a Word document per video that I want to post to make sure I've done additional research, to make sure the information I'm giving is correct. So I do think it's really important to plan your videos, but there's been so many times I thought, no, I'll just do like a really natural, spontaneous video, and then I've got in front of the camera and I've just blanked out because I've had no idea what I need to talk about. When you have the idea in your head of what you want to do, I find it just easier, and you think, yeah, I can definitely do a video about that. And then when it comes to actually being in front of the camera, you struggle because everything kind of goes out of your head. So I definitely think having a plan, even if you're not going to sort of be, obviously don't read off a script, but just having some bullet points there of the things that you want to cover. Equally, I do think it is really important to, not read off a script. Don't be so kind of like set in the words that you want to say. People won't watch you if you're almost like a robot. You need to have a bit of personality in there. You need to have a bit more of like a human aspect to you as well. To create my thumbnails, I use Canva. I'm not ashamed of it because I think Canva is amazing. I use that for all of my interview videos, so I have like a standard template that I use, and then I put in people's headshots and their role, etc. Then I also use Canva to do just like my other thumbnails. So I kind of blur this background, I make my face look a bit brighter. I use different fonts, I try and do this shadow effect, etc., and you can do that all on here. Thumbnails are obviously super important because that's what your audience sees first of all, and that's what's going to make them watch your video. So I do try and make sure that my thumbnail is okay, and I'll send that to like my boyfriend for approval as well. But yeah, definitely focus on your thumbnail. In terms of accessibility as well, I think it's really important that you have like captions turned on, for example, so people that have some kind of hearing impairment equally don't have any like flashing lights in your channel on your videos or anything like that. People might suffer with epilepsy, for example, so making your videos accessible to anyone. The worst thing you can do, even if you have a niche, is to create a video and someone be like, I can't watch that video for some particular reason. So then going off of a niche as well, I was also thinking of doing my video on lots of different things, so like publishing and then like my lifestyle and anything like that. And I realised that people subscribe to you for a particular reason. So my videos, for example, is all about publishing content, and people subscribe to me if they're looking to get into the book publishing industry or if they're just starting out, or some of my colleagues, etc. And I think it is really important, and any video you watch on here as well, people will say you need to find your niche, you need to know exactly what your videos are going to be about, because if you just do this broad spectrum of all these videos, people aren't going to know why they're subscribing to you, they're not going to know what to expect, and you'll probably put off a lot of people as well. But we don't even look at that bit on the shelf because it's so messy. That's why I stand here, because then you can't see it and you can just see like the beautiful colours. I hope you found this video useful. Let me know down in the comments what you found and you took away from this video. Again, I'm not some expert YouTuber or anything.